Ever wonder how to make your kitchen a safer place while cooking up a storm? Well, you're in the right place. Kitchen safety is of paramount importance because, let's face it, the kitchen can be a risky place. Hot surfaces, sharp objects, and raw food, these are just a few hazards that could lead to accidents if not handled properly. Every year, thousands of people experience kitchen-related injuries, some of them quite severe. These accidents can range from minor cuts and burns to serious injuries that require medical attention. And the sad truth is, most of these incidents could be avoided with proper knowledge and care. That's where we come in. This video is all about helping you understand the risks and teaching you how to navigate your kitchen safely. Whether you're an experienced chef or just starting out in your culinary journey, there's always room to learn more about safety. Stay tuned as we delve into practical steps to create a safer cooking environment. First off, what you wear in the kitchen matters more than you think. It's more than just a fashion statement, y'all. It's a vital part of kitchen safety. Let's start with the basics. Loose clothing can be a hazard. Flowy sleeves might look cute, but they can easily catch fire or get caught in appliances. Opt for fitted sleeves or roll them up while you're cooking. Now, let's talk shoes. I know barefoot is comfortable and all, but it's not the safest option. You never know when a knife might slip or you might drop a heavy pot. Closed-toe shoes are your best bet. They offer protection from spills, drops, and other mishaps. And don't forget about aprons. They're not just for show. They protect your clothes from splatters and spills, and some even have handy pockets for your kitchen tools. Remember, the right attire is your first defense against kitchen accidents. Knives, they're a cook's best friend, but can also be a hazard if not handled correctly. Now let's dive into the heart of kitchen safety, the safe use of knives. Knives are essential, but they can be dangerous. So how do we handle these culinary tools safely? First off, when you're picking up a knife, always grab it by the handle, never the blade. When you're holding it, make sure your fingers are curled under and away from the blade. This is called the claw grip, and it's a technique chefs use to avoid nasty cuts. Now, when it comes to storing knives, you don't want to just toss them in a drawer. Not only can this damage the blades, but it also poses a risk every time you reach in. Instead, consider using a knife block or a magnetic strip. These options keep your knives organized, easy to access, and most importantly, safe. And here's a fact that might surprise you. A dull knife is more dangerous than a sharp one. You see, when a knife is dull, you have to use more force to cut, and that increases the risk of the knife slipping and causing an injury. That's why it's so important to keep your knives sharp. A honing steel can help maintain the edge of your blades, while a whetstone can bring a dull blade back to life. But remember, sharpening a knife is a task that requires focus and care. So, avoid distractions, take your time, and always move the blade away from your body. And finally, after using a knife, always clean it immediately. Leaving a dirty knife on the counter can be a hazard, especially if it's out of sight. So wash your knives, dry them thoroughly, and put them away safely. In short, when using a knife, remember these key points. Hold it correctly, store it safely, keep it sharp, and clean it right away. Treat knives with respect, and they'll help you create magic in your kitchen. Fire, it can turn your meal into a masterpiece or a disaster. Now we all know the tantalizing smell of a sizzling steak or the comforting warmth of a simmering pot of soup. Fire, the heart of our kitchen, is what makes all these culinary delights possible. But as much as it's our ally, it can also be a formidable foe if not treated with respect. One of the cardinal rules of fire safety is to never ever leave your cooking unattended. It's easy to get distracted, maybe by a phone call or a doorbell, but remember, it only takes a split second for a small flame to grow into a full-blown fire. And while we're on the topic of distractions, let's talk about flammable items. Tea towels, oven mitts, even that recipe book you swear by can catch fire if they're too close to the stove. So keep your cooking area clutter-free and well away from open flames. Now, what if despite all precautions, a fire does break out? Well, that's where your quick thinking and these tips come into play. Firstly, don't panic. A lot of kitchen fires can be controlled if dealt with promptly. If it's a small fire, you can smother it with a metal lid or a larger pan. For a grease fire, remember to never use water. It can cause the fire to spread. Instead, try to smother it using baking soda or a fire extinguisher if you have one handy. And should the fire involve your oven or microwave, keep the door closed and turn off the appliance. The lack of oxygen will eventually suffocate the flames. In case the fire gets out of control, don't hesitate. Get out of the house and call your local fire department. Remember, no dish, no matter how delicious, is worth risking your life over. Fire safety in the kitchen is all about staying alert, keeping your cooking area clean, and knowing how to respond in case of an emergency. In the kitchen, keep fire as a friend, not a foe. Now let's talk about something we often overlook: safe food handling. To start, consider your hands as the biggest culprits. No matter how clean they may seem, they can harbor invisible foes that may wreak havoc on your health. Always wash your hands thoroughly with warm water and soap before and after handling food, especially raw meat, poultry, and seafood. Don't forget those nooks and crannies like under your nails. A good scrub for at least 20 seconds should do the trick. Next, let's discuss the importance of properly storing food. It's critical to keep perishable food items in the fridge or freezer. The danger zone, where bacteria thrive, is between 40 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Freezing food at 0 degrees Fahrenheit or below keeps it safe indefinitely. However, the quality may degrade over time, so it's still wise to follow those use-by dates. Now on to the topic of cross-contamination. This sneaky culprit can turn your kitchen into a battleground. Cross-contamination happens when harmful bacteria or allergens transfer from one food or surface to another. To avoid this, always use separate cutting boards for raw meats and fresh produce. Never place cooked food back on the same plate that held raw food unless it's been washed with hot soapy water. Also, remember to clean your utensils and food prep surfaces often. This includes your cutting board, knives, and countertops. A solution of 1 tablespoon of unscented liquid chlorine bleach in 1 gallon of water works great for sanitizing these surfaces. Lastly, don't forget about the food itself. Rinse fresh fruits and vegetables under running tap water, including those with skins and rinds that aren't eaten. Scrub firm produce with a clean produce brush. Remember, safe food handling is key to a healthy and happy cooking experience. Let's keep our kitchens safe and enjoyable, y'all. Now, on to the next part of our kitchen safety journey. So, we've covered a lot today about kitchen safety. Let's take a moment to recap the essentials, ensuring that these critical pointers stick with you like a good roux. First off, we discussed the importance of proper attire in the kitchen. Remember, dressing appropriately is not about being fashionable, it's about being safe. Wear a well-fitted apron to protect your clothes from spills and splatters, and don't forget those oven mitts when handling hot pots and pans. Keep your hair tied back and avoid loose clothing or dangling jewelry that could catch on handles or get too close to the heat. Next, we delved into the art of knife handling. A sharp blade is safer than a dull one, as it requires less force to cut through food, reducing the risk of the knife slipping. Always keep your fingers tucked away from the blade and use a stable cutting board. And remember, your knives deserve respect, so store them safely when not in use. Then, we turned up the heat with fire safety. Keep your cooking area clean and free of grease buildup to prevent fires. Stay in the kitchen while you're frying, grilling, or broiling food, and never leave your cooking unattended. In case of a fire, remember your safety procedures. Turn off the heat, smother the flames with a lid, and never, under any circumstances, use water on a grease fire. Lastly, we tackled safe food handling. Wash your hands and surfaces often. Separate raw meats from other foods to prevent cross-contamination, and cook foods to the right temperatures. When in doubt, use a food thermometer. And remember, when storing leftovers, refrigerate promptly to keep your food safe. With these tips in mind, you're well on your way to a safer and more enjoyable cooking experience. Happy cooking!